Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's bird video. Going to have a look at the weather. It's 14 days for today's bird video. Day 10 will take us to the 5th of August. And we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the GFS and ECM ensembles. Maybe we'll try in a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at CFS V2 for August itself at the end of the video. And I shall get on that for you in a moment. Just to say that first. A video today was our 6am UK weather forecast. We've also this January Friday. And we've got the EC42 day coming up for you this evening, with the UK and Ireland focus video. So check out those two videos so far, and the one video still to come. Thanks so much everybody for doing that. Like, share, subscribe on all of today's videos and content. Thank you so much everybody. Hope you're having a lovely Friday. By the way, the reason the EC42 day has been released this evening rather than tomorrow morning as it would normally be so, is because tomorrow we've got the second seasonal model roundup for autumn 2024. We're going to get all the long range ones together for only the second time this season, see what they're all showing for the autumn. So that's the reason the EC42 day is pulled back to this evening. I hope that makes sense. Right, going to start our centering temperature. CT is now sitting at 15.9. That is 0.1 of a degree below the 61 to 99 average. That is provisional to yesterday, to the 25th of July. So we're virtually bang on average in terms of 61 to 1990 anyway. And by month's end, that's probably going to be a little bit above average, somewhere in below 16s, I would have thought. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. We're in Coventry today. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Coventry. We're starting off below average with the upper air temperature at the moment. They're going to be going above average, though, as we come towards month's end and the beginning of August. A warm up there through the early to middle part of next week. Then beyond that, we're very close to the long-term 30-year average, not a particularly big deviation either way. Precipitation-wise, we look pretty dry through the rest of July. Not completely so. There are a few showers coming through, especially over the weekend. But generally a lot of dry weather, I think, up towards the middle of next week. Then beyond that, actually it's a little bit more unsettled now through the first week of August, which is a bit of a surprise. Have been thinking the first week of August would bring a lot of dry and warm weather, but I think that is looking a little bit more unsettled now, I have to say. Temperature anomaly, it should be 26th of July to 3rd of August, about average, not a big deviation, slightly above in the south, maybe slightly below in the north, but not a big deviation either way, very close to long-term averages. And precipitation-wise, from the 26th of July, 3rd of August, again, very close to average, really. South-east looks a bit drier than average, parts of Wales and the Midlands a little bit wetter than average, Ireland drier than average, but not a big deviation either way. Latest from that from earth.nullschool.net shows that we've got low pressure between Scotland and Iceland, and we're bringing in the wind from off the Atlantic. So rather cooler, fresher westerly flow across the country today. I say by the beginning of next week, we'll turn that wind around to more of a southwesterly or southerly, which is a warmer wind direction. Right, let's start going through chart data then. Let's have the latest UK Met Euro roads looking big night on Monday. High pressure over to the east country, drawing in those very warm and or hot southerly southeasts. They carry on into Tuesday as well. Bit of a thundery low around France and Biscay. That starts trying to ease its way northwards Tuesday to Wednesday. Could bring some thunder with it. However, a lot of high pressure influences throughout most of next week, but by the end of the UK Met Euro run, which gets us to next Friday, 2nd of August, just signs of some low pressure beginning to start moving in from off the Atlantic, so possibly starting to turn a little bit more unsettled then. Icon, again, the high pressure over and to the east of the country, bringing a lot of dry and warm weather with it, possibly quite hot. That carries on into the middle part of next week. Thundery low sitting over France, not quite making it up to us though. That's Thursday next week, and very slack gradients then really. And then by the end of next week, you start to see some low pressure just begin to edge in from off the Atlantic, maybe starting to turn slightly more showery then with that area of low between Iceland and Scotland. The KMA, all much of a muchness through the early part of next week, very warm and or quite hot conditions. We head on towards the latter stages of next week, possibly gets a little bit closer with this thundery low actually. That might bring some thundery rain or some thunderstorms in towards the south and the southeast by the middle to second half of next week. However, generally, most of that's kept over on the continent as lower pressure starts edging in from the Atlantic by the end of next week. So we're turning more Atlantic driven here, really, as we go on in towards the end of the first week of August, generally cooler and rather showery there. And then Mrs. Howard GFS midnight run is looking all much of a muchness with that area of high pressure over to the east country. The early part of next week bringing lots of dry and warm or very warm conditions with it. Thundery low trying to move up from the south around Wednesday. See, I've got like a thundery trough over France. Most of that again is kept away from us, but possibly from the southeast we might get some thunderstorms out of that. And then low pressure takes over from the Atlantic by the end of next week. So a big change for the first weekend of August as low pressure once again, as it has done so often through this summer, develops to the west of the UK and Ireland, bringing quite a cool and showery westerly flow, and that takes us on up to day 10. And then beyond that, the low pressure eases away to the northeast. We bring the winds around to the north, so quite cool and showery conditions then. That gets us to the end of the GFS midnight run. By that time, an extension from the Azores high. But the GFS has definitely taken a turn for the worse today in terms of the first week to 10 days of August. All looking rather cool and showery. Well, that's a midnight run. What's the 6th edge showing? Let's have a look at that one. High pressure again over and to the east, potentially on Monday, mostly dry and or very warm. Heading in towards the middle of next week, well, Greenwich goes slap. It's a thundery trough over on the continent, might bring some storms and whatnot, but most of that kept away from us over on the continent, I think. And then as we get into the second half of next week, well, low pressure in the Atlantic begins to take over, similar to the midnight run, turns more unsettled, maybe not quite as cool and unsettled with 6 as midnight run was. Even so, low pressure really dominates to the west of the UK and Ireland. We go back into those westerly winds again. Winds shifting around tomorrow southerly by the 8th of August, very briefly and temporarily there, start to try and drag up some hotter air from the south, but all the time it's low pressure way to the northwest that's the driving and dominating factor. And I say, the GFS has definitely taken quite a significant turn for the worse today for the first week, 10 days of August. Both of those GFS operational runs looking rather a low pressure dominating cool and showery for the first week of August, which isn't really what we've been expecting, is it? But we have had a lot of chopping and changing, for this period, I have to say. So I'm not overly surprised that the GFS have taken a turn for the worse, and it might swing back actually to something warmer and drier. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, subscribe. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. Drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos and content. Don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids, get them to subscribe too. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. We are definitively now, I think, into 18.6k. We put on the 10 that we needed yesterday. So thank you so much everybody. And we're going to try and push on now to 18.7k, if that's all right with everyone. Thank you so much, Joe, for getting us this far. Right, GM, high pressure over and to the east country, pulling up those southerly southeasts. Very warm, quite hot and dry conditions. A thundery trough starts easing its way up from the south through the middle part of next week, and then kind of heads off in towards Germany and the Low Country, so we perhaps get a glancing blow from that, but most of the thundery stuff, I think, with that will be kept on the continent. By the end of next week, we go into like a flat westerly type flow again as low pressure deepens to the northwest of Scotland. And that brings in wet and windy conditions to the north and the west. That's a setup at day 10 with the GEM. It's not as bad as the GFS, so it's got that going for it. It's not quite as cool and unsettled as those two, but nevertheless, it does still look quite mixed there, I have to say. And then the ECM rounding it all off, high pressure over and to the east of the country on Monday, dragging in that very warm and or quite hot southerly southeasterly flow that carries on to the middle of next week. There's that thundery low that I've been talking about, starting to try and drift its way up from France and Biscay. Look how hot the upper air temperatures are over on the continent, with plus 20 Celsius iceberg through most of France into low countries into Germany, just not quite making it up to us, but nevertheless we've still got plus 15 Celsius iceberg in across the south and southeast, which will lift the temperature, given, you know, plenty of sunshine, up to 30 degrees, possibly into the low 30s there for the early part of next week. Could be the hottest spell of the summer so far, coming up through the early part of next week. A little bit closer with that thundery trough as well, so I think the ECM perhaps brings a greater threat of thunderstorms around the middle part of next week. Upper air temperature by Thursday beginning to show the hottest of the air starting to move away in towards Germany. And then, similar to most of the other model output, around days 8, 9, 10, low pressure starts to take over between Iceland and Scotland again and bring the wind back around to westerly. Albeit the ECM isn't as cool and unsettled as like the GFS operationals today. So the GFS might be overdoing it with that low pressure to the west and the northwest. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from TibetShow.com. Plenty of showers in the north and the west through the weekend, and a longer spell of rain into the north and the west there through the course of tomorrow afternoon as well. But sunny does turn drier, and then we're drier through Monday and Tuesday as well. Some thunderstorms beginning to start appearing though down in the far southwest, and may start to get a bit more widespread when we get through to Wednesday. So by Wednesday afternoon, evening, England, Wales at risk of some big thunderstorms. Remember, other models though aren't bringing that thundery low up as far north as the ECM is, so there's a bit of uncertainty about how thundery it gets through the middle part of next week. Will be one to watch. By the second half of next week, that thundery stuff is all going off over there into the continent. We're turning drier with further rain from the Atlantic bed into the northwest of the country. And then that takes us through to the end of the ECM run, where it's showery in the north and west, but mostly dry in the south and the east. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles day 4, day 10. From the Icelandic Met gets us to the 5th of August, 25 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure between Scotland and Iceland, and bringing in the wind from the west sea direction. Unsettled and showery in the north, and mostly dry down the south. 15 with high pressure reaching from Scandinavia into the west of Europe. That should bring quite a lot of dry and warm weather with it. And then 11 with low pressure just to the west of the UK and Ireland, and so that is looking cool and showery and unsettled. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets us to the 10th of August. 20 members of the ECM ensembles have low pressure to the north, but high pressure, I should say, to the north. Lower pressure, not necessarily low pressure, but lower pressure out in the Atlantic. That's probably going to be quite warm. That should bring wind up like southerly direction, but could be a little bit showery. We've got 16 with high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, flat as a pancake, very westerly, and 15 with high pressure dominating from Scotland to Norway, and winds coming in from the east. That's going to be the warmest and the driest of the options. A range of options there, you'll notice, for both day 10 and also day 14. So the uncertainty for August continues. We are seeing an insane amount of uncertainty, and have been over the past few days, and that goes on again today within the model output. And then the CFS V2 finally for August, 700 millibar height, and I remember these change daily, but today's idea looks like this: low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south and to the southwest, and winds coming in from a westerly direction. So that's basically what we've had all summer, really. Westerly, not overly warm, and low pressure around Iceland and Greenland keeps particularly the north rather unsettled, with the south having a fair amount of dry weather at times. The temperature anomaly for August is no better than average, and lastly, precipitation anomalies for August, again, not much of a signal. It's just a continuation, really, the pattern is continuing that we've had all summer. no change. Right, so if you enjoy the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. Drop a comment so talking about this and all about videos and content. Don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Get them to subscribe to. So everybody for doing that. We're pushing on to 18.7k now. Right, so we've got one more video still to come. That is your ECMWF 42 there for the UK and Ireland. That will be released this evening around 7 p.m. I'll tell you what's happening on the channel over the weekend. So big weekend of content. Tomorrow we're going to have a 6 a.m. UK weather forecast. We'll have the second autumn 2024 season model roundup. There'll be a weekend forecast and 10 to 14 day as well. And then on Sunday we've got the 6 a.m. UK weather forecast. There'll be the latest autumn update. I think we're up to update number 6 of the autumn updates. It'll be live at 6 p.m. with your 10 to 14 day. It's a sunny live stream, so of course we'll include some long range, a bit of a CFS special, I think that one. You enjoy the rest of your Friday, and for this one though, so lots to look forward to the weekend. You enjoy the rest of your Friday, and for this one, that's all for now. And thanks for watching. See you later on for the EC42 day. But for now, bye for now.